Let's rock, baby.
Standing at the forefront of the PlayStation 2's hack-and-slash boom, Devil May Cry was hailed as the undisputed vanguard of action-adventure gaming. By combining visceral, adrenaline-soaked combat, nightmarish enemies, and the seductive allure of the dark fantasy aesthetic, Hideki Kamiya developed one of the most popular video game protagonists of the last decade.
And if I kill each one that comes, eventually I should hit the jackpot sooner or later.
If not gaming history. Originally, Devil May Cry was slated to be a sequel to the ever-popular Resident Evil franchise. Kamiya's development team, known then only as Team Little Devil, created something so radically different from the desired survival horror formula that an entirely new intellectual property had to be created. Instead of meticulous inventory management, extensive backtracking, and an overall feeling of helplessness often experienced in the survival horror genre, Kamiya and his team instead developed a game that placed extreme emphasis on intense, fast-paced action. The game also features some puzzle-solving and exploration elements retained from its survival horror origins, complementing the fast-paced action experienced while slaying demons. Originally, Devil May Cry followed the story of Dante, a professional bounty hunter specializing in extermination of demonic entities. The series as a whole centered on Dante's promise of avenging his mother's murder by ridding the Earth of the demon menace. The gameplay consists of extreme combat sequences in which the player must attempt to extend and maintain long chains of attacks while avoiding damage, in order to exhibit stylized combat. This element, along with time and the amount of items collected and used, are taken in consideration when grading a player's performance, which offered an experience that was not yet seen before or thought possible in video games. Over 10 million copies sold, and a decade later, Capcom's latest iteration has taken yet again another radical departure, one that may make or break the Devil May Cry series entirely. The latest installment of the Devil May Cry franchise, simply titled DMC, is an upcoming video game developed by Ninja Theory and published by Capcom for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC. The game will be a flat-out reboot and will unfortunately not connect with the events that occurred in the games before, to the dismay of many longtime fans of the series. The initial teaser trailer had an overwhelmingly negative reception, primarily for the drastic redesign of Dante alone, not even taking into consideration the complete dismissal of a decade's worth of characters and mythos. The new game will run at 30 frames per second instead of 60, use Unreal Engine instead of MT Framework, and feature a complete overhaul of the game's long-standing mechanics to compensate for the disparity in frame rate. This iteration will place a higher emphasis on environmental combat than its predecessors, as well as a heavier focus on extended aerial battles, as it would seem the very world itself is trying to kill Dante. Something I'll admit I'm curious to know more about. The premise feels a bit fresher, the enemies appear a bit fiercer, and the action looks just as good as any DMC title should. Fans can rest assured knowing that despite the many perceived slights seen in the TGS trailers, the game does look amazing, even if Dante, well, doesn't. Being a hardcore devotee of the series myself, I'll admit that I'm a little wary of the direction Capcom has decided to embark upon. I can't base my issues with this venture based solely on aesthetic decisions. That would defeat the very tenets of progression in video games. Yet Capcom's decision to not only outsource an established franchise, let alone cast aside 10 years worth of story and characters for a pretty new coat of paint, leaves me feeling a tad bit, well, disgruntled, to say the least. As I've said before, I'll throttle many reboots based on assumptions and eventually found that I enjoyed the new directions and ideas implemented. Taking this into consideration, I'll try and play it nice with Ninja Theory. And once again, what little faith I have left in Capcom, I'll just save the flaming pitchforks for the review that is sure to come 2013. Love him or hate him, this new Devil Hunter is here to stay. And on January the 15th, 2013, we will all see if it would be for the better or worse.
I don't know my mother, but if you're calling me a son of a bitch, you wouldn't be the first!
This is Bob Barbas of the Raptor News Network, just doing God's work. XreaXtion, the best